Um, we are going to be having a lovely chat today, guys. And before we start, I just wanted to say one thing. What if we could actually have this amazing space where we're going to have a lot of the energy of joy today? And what if that actually turns out to be something that we can enjoy? So without further ado, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer RANDIVE, and I'm in Dubai, and have been a change catalyst and have been longing to meet this amazing woman, Simone Milasas. And it's a real pleasure and honor for me to actually introduce this lovely lady to you because she has been a remarkable change catalyst and change agent in my personal life. So Simone, welcome to the show, and allow me to just tell everyone a bit about you, if that's okay. You ready?
Sure. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me here.
You're more than welcome, and thank you for taking the time. I know you're a very busy lady. So without further ado, Simone Milasas is a dynamic leader who travels the globe, demonstrating how to do business from a place of joy. How many of you have actually been able to do that? Well, she's going to tell us today. She has been at the forefront of the cutting edge of business creation and development for over a decade. She sees the joy and the possibility and future and knows that there is the prospect of possibility and everything is just a choice. So Simone, welcome to the show, and what can you actually tell us today? And I'm going to just share as to what it is that people perceive about business in this part of the world. And I'm quite sure it's all over. Many people go with, my God, business is supposed to be something stressful and painful, and it's all about figures and profit and loss. If you could tell us what joy can really bring to our business, it'll be real fun.
Okay. Well, the first thing, Jennifer, is yes, that is all over the world. Most people think that business is supposed to be very significant, and it is about profit and loss, and it's about the bottom line. And
Yep.
it's about the pretty much like the trauma and drama of it. It's like, how much did we make this week? And it's like, how's, the revenue streams going, etc. And the thing is with the joy of business, access consciousness is the tools and the processes that we use in joy of business, which are designed to change any area of your life that you think is not working for you. Now,
Correct.
for me, joy of business is the ability to receive it all, and be able to change in a nanosecond. It's like, to me, business was always, this place that it was like a playground. We could play. Now, I'm not saying that every day is easy, okay? It's like in the last 48 hours, I've had a really interesting time with business. But what I did was I used the access consciousness tools and I started to ask more questions. And I get that the businesses that I'm involved in at the moment are expanding ginormously. And the one thing I see is when a business is about to expand, people do everything they can to contract it. Even though they're asking for it to expand, they still do whatever they can to contract it rather than going, okay, you know what? I'm jumping off the bridge. I'm jumping off the edge of the cliff, and I'm going to see what shows up. Like, imagine what you could do if you knew you couldn't fail.
That's a brilliant, brilliant way of actually putting it. We've had, I know that besides you doing the joy of business, you also are the worldwide coordinator for access consciousness. That's quite a task to handle. And access is in 173 countries right now. That's remarkable, truly remarkable.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And we have over 2,000 facilitators around the world. And, Jennifer, part of the thing that I see that people have to do too is you have to be willing to acknowledge what capacities you do have. Like, what are you great at? Because it's like we all have these different capacities. And only today at lunchtime, people always refer to, that I'm doing 6 people's full-time jobs, like being the worldwide coordinator. And today I finally went, you know what? I'm doing about 10 people's full-time jobs. I get it. And today I got it, and I could feel the place where the whole business was expanding because I was willing to actually acknowledge my capacities and what I was great at. And you're not taught to do that. You're not meant to stand up and be like, hey, you know what, I'm fantastic at this, I'm great at this. It's like you're more meant to play that sort of, subdued person and just create over here but not make it obvious. And it's like, you know what, it's time to change that. If you want to change your business and you want to change the way the world looks, then you've got to step out and be who you are.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant thing, because most of the businesses and people are having challenges with that, because it's more about downplaying. Because if you really step up, then people are going to say, oh, what do you think about yourself, and stuff like that. So it's not only about the education that we have, Simone, and if you would like to talk about that, because most people think that if they don't have certain degrees and they don't have certain designations, then they're nothing. And people are challenged with that. I've been in the recruitment industry, and most of the time I've experienced where people were saying that we cannot find this job, we cannot do this job because we're not qualified. But I truly believe, and what you're saying is truly awesome, is that what if we were to acknowledge our innate capacities and abilities? So what are some of the things that Access does to help us to come into that zone of really acknowledging who we are and the capacities that we have? If someone's stuck there.
Well, the first thing that I would ask, if anyone listening, it's like, start to have a look at what you would really like to create. Okay, what is it that you would like to create? What is it that you've desired your whole entire life and you have not yet chosen? And a lot of the times what you find incredibly easy, you think has no value, is what you can make money from. Okay, and it's like, so please look at this. And it's like, whatever you find incredibly easy, you may find talking to people incredibly easy. You may find making money is easy, and you think, why is everyone complaining about it? I actually find it easy. Starting a business might be easy for you. You might be one of those people who's a great startup, okay? And then once you have the business going, and if anyone recognizes this, once it's going, once the business is flowing, you start to destroy it because you enjoy starting a business. Now, instead of destroying the business, what you can do is sell it. You can get someone in to manage it. You can get, you can change it. And then you can actually enjoy what you do and start another business. So start to have a look at what it is that you enjoy. And if you need to, write it down or put it in your phone, because nobody writes anything down nowadays. And, write down everything that you enjoy and start to have a look at that. Because from that, and you don't need a degree, yes, you need a degree if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, etc. But it's like, I didn't actually go to college. I left high school, and I traveled. I went overseas for 6 months, and then I came home 3 years later, and everyone sort of patted me on the back and said, well, now you've got that out of your system, you can settle down. And I was like, what? And I was like, it's just begun, And so I started to ask for what I desired to show up in my life, and that's what business can give you. So I started to ask, all right, what would it take for me to make lots of money, have my own business, because for me that was always desirable for me, and be able to travel the world at the same time. And I started to ask these questions. And then later on, I also added, what would it take for me to be able to be, assist people in the world? Like, I wanted to change the way people looked at the planet. So that matched the energy of what I was choosing. So, and then I wrote this book, Joy of Business. And it's like, I did go into the judgment of saying, well, I don't have a degree, but you know what? I have a joy of business, and I have made lots and lots of money. I've lost money. I've had investors. I've invested. I've had business partners. I've been a sole trader. I've had companies. I've worked in Australia. I've worked overseas. I've done so many different things, and every single thing I chose has gotten me where I am today. And I would really like to offer tools and ways to have a different look at business and actually enjoy what you do. Because are you enjoying what you do? That never made sense to me. Why would you do something if you didn't enjoy it?
Yeah, so that was my next question. How did you come about actually coming with this concept of the joy of business? I've read up, but I'd like you to actually share what that was all about. And your conversation with Gary is quite interesting. It's really enjoyable, and it's funny, and I think that's what actually people must actually look at. And you got it, so would you share it with us, please?
Sure. Well, first of all, Jennifer, I thought that everybody had a joy of business. I was delusional. I thought that that's how everybody looked at business. And years ago, I had a conversation with Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access Consciousness.
Mhm.
And I was asking him a question because someone was choosing something that wasn't really making much sense to me. And I went, why are they choosing this? Doesn't make any sense. And he said, what do you mean it doesn't make any sense? I said, well, it's business. And I said, and there's no joy in this choice. And he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean there's no joy in this choice? But business isn't joyful. And I went, yes, it is. And he's like, no, it's not. Not in this reality. People don't choose business for the joy of it. And I was like, dumbstruck. I was like, really? Why would you choose it if you didn't enjoy it? So this started this conversation. And eventually he said to me, you need to do some seminars on this. And I went through the stage of, giving classes, and I would be on stage giving a class, and I would be thinking, God, I'd rather be working, I'd rather be creating a business than talking about it. And then, Jennifer, I realized so many people came up to me afterwards and they had such a limited perspective on business. And the tools that I took for granted, where the place where I functioned from in business, I thought everybody did, I soon realized they didn't. And I had so many people come up to me and have been so incredibly grateful for the ease that they now have with business, the amount of money that they're making, and all of that. So I went, okay, then I need to start doing this more. So I travel around the world doing more seminars now, and I also put the book together, which is now translated into 6 different languages, so including English. It's in 7 languages, which is fabulous and matches the energy of what I would like to create in the world. So I was delusional, now I'm not, and I would like to invite everybody in the whole entire world to be functioning from the tools of joy of business, because if they were, Jennifer, I think we'd be living on a totally different planet.
I can't agree with you more. And what you just said has actually pushed some button in my head when I was told that I was a bit weird in the way that I actually chose to do business. And I used to say, well, why am I weird? I remember when I started off my own business, people told me, why are you doing this? There are 350 companies doing exactly the same thing. And I said, you know what? Maybe I'm going to do it in a totally and a definitely different way. And they said, you're really gone crazy. So it's more about, I think, what you're mentioning, and it really matches the energy of it, is what can we choose to create for ourselves that is our innate ability and gift and the uniqueness of us that actually stands out and creates something that this world actually requires. So, I mean, the tools and techniques that you have talked about, I mean, I'm totally your fan. I got with the book. I'm reading it, and I'm telling everyone about it. So I'm so freaking excited. And I have become an Access Certified Facilitator, and I'm actually changing things. And it's really, really joyful. And I'm so excited because I'd like actually for you to come and do this for us. But in the meantime, there are a couple of other things that I wanted to pick your brains with since you're here. I'm so excited. There are many people, because I used to do recruitment before, Simone, there are many people who have these amazing ideas but are so hesitant because they're in fear of what if I fail and what if it doesn't work. Is there any tool that you can share with us? And I believe you do this magical statement, which is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. I'd like all of us to actually experience that today, if that's okay for you.
Sure. So there's lots of tools with that too, because one of the things that I would ask is, what have you decided success means to you? Okay, because so many people have this judgment, this limitation, this point of view on what success means to you. So if you're talking about the clearing statement, the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, which you can find out more on theclearingstatement.com or on my website, accessjoyofbusiness.com. But basically, it's going to, I mean, if I ask you, okay, so truth, what does success mean to you? And everything that is and everything that brings up, destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. So basically what this is doing is going to the point of creation and the point of destruction of all the places that you've decided of what, success means to you. So it's changing the energy, basically. Because it's like if I ask you, and if you keep asking it, it's like there's layers of it. Like, it's like, okay, so truth, what does business mean to you? And it's like everyone has this point of view of what business means to you. It may be in this lifetime, it may be in another lifetime. It's like somewhere you've picked up a point of view. You may have been a kid. Like, I mean, I was just talking today to someone, and when I grew up, my father left home at 7 o'clock in the morning. He got home between 7 and 8. He usually worked at least six days a week, sometimes 7. You know, took his briefcase, and he always wore a tie, etc. So it's like that's my image of business as I grew up. And my mother resisted business as I grew up. Like, she was like, we can't talk about, you know, business or money at the table. And I was always like, why not? Because I found it really interesting. So it didn't make sense to me. But you tend to buy into your parents' points of view, the place where you choose to be born. And it's like, so the culture, and it's like your friends, your teachers, everyone around you, you buy into other people's points of view. And it's like, if you were choosing your reality, what would you choose? Like, if you were choosing business as you would choose it, what would it look like? What would it be? What would you choose? What would you change? I mean, you look at Albert Einstein. It's like, you know, how many points of view did he get projected at him of what he could and couldn't do? Now, if you listen to it, it's like the planet might be in a very different place. The same as Richard Branson. And it's like people told him he was crazy. I remember when he tried, we created Virgin Atlantic, to go across the Atlantic, and they said to him, British Airways said, no, you can't create Virgin Atlantic because there's already enough, you know, enough flights going on. It's like British Airways has got it handled, basically. And he was like, no, and he went ahead and created it. And it's like, now look at Emirates. Emirates is my favorite airline, and it's like it's taking over the world by luxury. And it's working. It's like, have you ever been in the first class lounge of the Emirates lounge in Dubai? It's fabulous. It's one of my favorite lounges in the world. So it's like, you know, it's like a business can actually be such an invitation to people as well. So, and keep choosing what you know, because it's like, how many people were told that they can't do something? When you can do something, you can actually do whatever it is that you choose. So if you ask, okay, so what does success mean to you? Now, most of the time, people usually calibrate success by the amount of money that they have in their bank account. Yeah. But what I'm asking is, what if you included money and money could show up, but that's not how you calibrated your success? Like, I've got a great story that's actually in my book. Okay. And this woman rang me. I had a business at that time called Good Vibes for You, and it was all about, you know, we had T-shirts and magnets and stickers and different sayings on it and things like that I perceived, if someone read them, would create a change in their world, in their reality. So that was my target, like where I was heading. And this lady rang me and she said, look, I just want to thank you. She said, I had one of your magnets and it says, imagine what you would do if you knew you couldn't fail. And for 6 months, I've had it on my fridge. And she said, every day, I've been married for about 10 years. She had like 8 kids or something. Whoa. And every day my husband has beat up on me, and I've cried every day. And I began to think that's what life was. And she said, every day I read your magnet for 6 months. Imagine what you would do if you knew you couldn't fail. And she said, I just want to thank you. She said, I've left my husband. I have a house now. I've got my kids, and I'm creating my life. And to me, I was like, far out, that is success. To me, my whole entire company was a success based on that one woman and her kids. And I was actually wondering today, going, oh, I wish if this lady ever hears this story anywhere, I would love her to contact me now and find out, you know, where is she at now? Where are her kids at now? Because this was quite a few years ago. But it's like, if I was going to calibrate my success based on money, it's a $5 magnet. I would have considered myself a failure. But it's not. It's like, what is success to you? And it's like, if you don't make it about money, then money will show up.
Yeah. So it's so when we're talking about joy and our businesses, can you give us a bit of tips as to how it is that
don't make things significant, Jennifer. It's like, if you don't make things significant, and it's like, you've really, I mean, the joy of business is not about this like laughing hysterically and everything ends up okay. It's like the joy of business is the willingness to change, the willingness to choose, the willingness to ask questions, the willingness to start something. And it's like, you've got to start. That's the first thing. It's like, I see people go into the judgment of, oh, I can't do this, I don't have enough money. when I get this, then I can choose it. Or they have all these reasons and justifications for quitting and giving up. What if you never gave up? What if you never quit? What if you just move forward? Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that everything works out as far as this reality is considered successful.
Right.
Like I said to you before, I've lost money. I've made money. I've lost investment. I've made money with investments. I've done it all, but you know what? I gave it a shot. I actually chose. And every single one of those businesses, those companies, everything that I've been involved in has, like I said, created my life as it is today. So the joy of business is about actually choosing, choice. And choice creates awareness, okay? Awareness doesn't create choice. Choice creates awareness. You've got to choose something. Now, my best analogy with that is it's like you don't judge yourself on the choices you make. And it's like I'm sure that we've all gone home and you know, slept with someone that we woke up in the morning and went, oh, interesting choice. And it's like, but you didn't stick with the choice. You chose again.
Yeah.
So it's just the same thing. It's like business is not something because you start it, you have to stick with it. You can choose again. You're allowed to choose again. And one of the judgments that I always got was, oh, she can't settle down. She needs to you know, find something and stick to it. And I was like, why? Like for 10 years, I went around, I worked in every industry I could. I learned as many different things as I could. I made money. I made little bits of money. I made commission. It's like I had managerial positions. You know, I did so many different things. But I learnt so much traveling all around the world. I mean, I even worked as a kamaki in the Greek islands. I used to stand outside a restaurant saying, hey, can I, you know, interest you in eating at Captain Angelo's? We have 3 specials tonight and a glass of wine. And, you know, and I met all these people by doing that. And it's like, you've got to get out there and choose. You've got to make the choice. And you're the only one that can make that choice.
Right. So that sounds phenomenal. And I think if we cannot judge ourselves, because most of the time I think there's too much of judgment. Oh, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, and I think you've answered that beautifully. In that, if you give yourself a break, I mean, get out of your own way, for example, and don't be so hard on yourself. And if you made a choice, you can choose again to see what else would actually work for you. Because many people in business, and I have to say this, will not choose unless because they already have the outcome in their head as to this is how it's going to show up. So would you like to say something about that? Because no one is choosing anything different, Simone, because looking at what it is that's going to show up. And maybe you'd like to tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's like, have you decided that you have to get it right, or have you decided that you're going to be wrong? It's like either of those points of view will lock you up. So everywhere that you've made being right or wrong more valuable than actually receiving greater possibilities where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyonds. What I would like to suggest is you ask the question of what's right about me I'm not getting, okay? Because it's like you've got to have a look at what's the greatness of you. And you won't choose anything. If you think you're going to get it wrong, then you're not going to choose anything. If you're waiting, it's like, you know, if you learn to, I don't know, you learn to sail a boat. You've got to learn to sail a boat. You don't walk out there and go, right, I've got this right. I've perfected this. And perfection is a judgment. Okay? So it's like, what if you never got it perfect? What if it was playing? What if it was the fun? What if that was, I mean, I get so excited because it's like, okay, what can we create next? What can we do next? And not every project I get involved in works. It's like, it doesn't work like that. And it's like, but each one adds to the next.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep choosing.
Awesome. So I think that's something really cool. I have a couple of questions that I've been asked to share with you. Hi, Simone. Are you there?
Sure. Yes, I am.
All right. I was having conversations with many people over here and telling them that I'm going to be interviewing you. And some of the people asked for your advice as to if they're in a certain situation, what is it that they can actually do. So one of them is business is always seen as something stressful. What can we do to change that? I mean, how can we really shift from being stressed into really enjoying the business that we're in?
Yeah. So people are probably going to hate the information I give you or the answer I give here, but it's about choice.
Okay,
And
okay.
one of the tools that you have is questions. You've got to ask questions. I mean, last night, literally, like if I didn't have the access tools, I would have said that I was stressed, right? Because
Yes.
I was just had so many things on, and it was like one thing after the other just piling up. So all night I kept asking, who or what else can we add to the business? Who or
Wow.
what else can we add to the business? Who or what else can we add to the business? I woke up at like 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and I was asking the question all night because it's like being stressed is a choice as well. And there was a part of me that I went, oh, look, I think I'm happy being stressed. And then I started to laugh and I changed it. So it's like you can change it, but it's your choice. It's like, you see people who, if you put it into I mean, recently I was talking to a kid and I was talking to him about his mom because he was saying to me, oh, she's angry all the time. And I said, so do you get that she likes being angry? And he looked at me and he goes, yes. He said, because she does it all the time. So it's like there's people out there who like to be angry. They're happy being angry. There's people out there who are happy being stressed. It's like how many of you feel like being stressed actually creates your business? And everything that is, will you be willing to change that, destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds? What if you were the one that didn't get stressed? I mean, there's a fabulous story, and I cannot remember her name at the moment, but I'm sure you can Google it. She's the current CEO of Facebook. Now, she has kids, she's married, she's the current CEO, and she said when she went there, it was a really big move the first time that she left work at 5 o'clock because
Oh,
everyone sort of looked at her and was like, well, we work till 10, 12 o'clock at night, sometimes 2 a.m. in the morning. And at 5 o'clock, she shut her computer down and she left work. And she was willing to actually choose her life. She was willing to choose what worked for her, not
mhm.
what was projected at her of what she could be and should be. Now, she's earning billions of dollars. It's like, so have you decided that you have to put in X amount of hours, like a certain amount of hours, to actually earn the money that you know you would like? And everything that is where you destroy and uncreate it. Times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Now, I can't change any of this for you. It's like when I say this clearing statement, you can just be yes, and it's like see if something
Yes,
changes for you.
yes, yes.
So one of the things is, it's like, have you decided that, like I said, you have to put in the long hours. You have to put in, really like, you have to put in long hours to have that success, to have the money show up. Rather than, I remember when I first started my first business, I spoke to my father, who was an accountant, and my brother, who was also an accountant. And I spoke to them about it, and they said, oh, you've chosen a business that's going to take a lot of hours. You're going to have to work, long hours and big days. And I sat there and thought, I don't think that's true. But I also knew they couldn't hear me. So I thought, okay, I need to go away. I need to create this business the way I know I can create it, not based on other people's projections and expectations of what it should be. Okay? So you've got to have a look at what you can create. What if you could make money much easier than what you've been willing to acknowledge? It could be a
Yes,
totally different reality.
absolutely. I mean, I've actually played with the tools of Access and was able to, and there's no logical explanation because when you're working with the tools of Access, I have seen personally that they don't make any sense, as in you trying to understand what the tools are, because there's nothing that you could possibly understand about shifting the energies, and that's what Access actually does, and it does it with such a lot of fun and joy. I think
Yeah.
that's the reason that it works like brilliantly, because you're not trying to analyze. I think most of the time in businesses, I mean, I've been in the corporate world as well, and I can say for myself that I used to be like in my head 24/7, and
Yeah.
then judging me and making me wrong. And you know, when I heard about the joy of business and you, and I said, there's got to be a different way of actually enjoying what it is that we do. And as a
Yeah.
result of, I'm telling you my story is that as a result of that, everything that I was thinking is the right way of doing business actually shifted and changed totally. and I'm now doing something totally different. But over here, we're talking about what it is that we can bring joy to. Are you there, Simone?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, all right, awesome. So, because I can't see you, so possibly that's why I'm going on asking. We don't want to lose you.
Oh,
No.
you won't never lose me, Jennifer. I'll always be here for you. I
I
fell in love
know.
with you the first time I met you. I remember you were like blah 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 blah, and you stood up in a class and you told exactly what was going on, and I was like, oh, I like this woman. And it's like she's like got this strength to and the willingness to choose to be her, and that's actually what creates a good business as well. I mean, if you look at the people that you've been involved in the corporate world, in any business, who are the people that you actually enjoy doing business with? They're the ones that are being them. They're the ones that
Absolutely.
are actually willing to speak up and go, you know what, this is not going to work. We need to change this, or we need to choose something different, or we need to like do something completely different. And that's the joy of business, is the willingness to change anything.
So, which is awesome. We have so my question over here is, supposing someone has a business, like someone like me, for example. I had a business, and now it has come to a total change. So I'm using your tools and the tools of Access Consciousness to actually navigate and create something totally different, and definitely different, and something that brings me joy, because I've noticed that people are trying to maintain what they've been doing for the longest time ever, and are not coming into change, because change for them is like, oh my God, there's a lot of resistance to change. So you may want to talk something about that, Simone?
Well, let's do a tool here. So if you wake up every morning and every time, like before you go to bed, put something on your mirror, like where you brush your teeth or something like that, and destroy and uncreate your relationship with your business. And destroy and uncreate your relationship with your business, with your employees, with your employer, with your colleagues, and just go, everything that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Because what does that do? It allows more to show up, because you use the word maintain, and it's like how many people do try and maintain their
Yeah.
business as it currently is. It's like most businesses are actually destroyed by their owners, because they have this idea of going, oh, you know, the founders, it's like, this is what the business is going to look like. And they're not willing to actually receive more information. Like there's a very famous successful businessman in Australia, and I remember reading an article by him one day, and someone said to him, how did you become so successful?
Hmm.
And he said, I surround myself by capable people and I listen. So he's willing to he was the founder of this business, he was the CEO, and he was willing to employ people and listen to what they had to say and then choose based on that. It's like how
Wow.
many people out there are maintaining it rather than actually allowing something different. So the tool is destroy and uncreate your relationship with your business every day. Because
Brilliant.
then if you've decided that X amount of money has to show up, or a certain client is the only client that can show up that's going to expand your business, then you've
Mhm.
just limited what could show up. It's like how many limitations have you projected and have of your and are creating with your business based on your current point of view, and would you be willing to change it?
Yes. Awesome.
Everything of that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Whoever's listening out there, and if you haven't ever heard of all this amazing stuff that Simone is actually doing, this stuff is life changing, because I've experienced it myself, truly and amazingly well. Um, I have another thing. Do you have time, Simone? Because I can carry on talking. I'm known as this person who has, blah, 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 blah. Uh,
I do have time. I'm just laughing because my husband just came in and he sneaked in the side door. I'm not sure if you saw. We're staying at a hotel in Brisbane at the moment. We have some huge classes starting tomorrow with
all right.
Dr. Dane here doing a bars class, and Gary Douglas and Dane here doing Foundation and One, which is the beginners classes of Access Consciousness.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we're
actually
a huge
hosting a
class.
pod.
We're very excited.
I'm hosting a pod for Dane here as well with the bar on the 7th, so it's going to be real fun. It's really going to be fun.
Awesome. Excellent. Yes, it will be.
I have another thing. I wanted to ask you about, so instead of all of us actually tripping in our head and concluding how businesses have to be or have been or have been projected in the past that they have to be, what your clearing statement and the Access Consciousness clearing statement does is bring us to this space where we can change that quite dynamically. Have I got that correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that we talk about in Access too is if you're thinking, you're stinking. And it's
Yeah.
like, and like you said, it's like, how many times did you think about business? And it's like, especially in the corporate world, and it's like, you know, you're meant to think about it. It's like, think it out. And it's like, work out the pros and cons. And it's like, I'm sorry, has working out the pros and cons ever worked for you? Or what if you went with your knowing? Because your knowing is like that quick. It's like, it's a click of a finger. And it's like, and you know stuff. And it's like, and then you go, you know something, which is like the higher harmonics of you. And then you go to the thinking about it, okay? So then you start thinking about it and you start destroying what you know of what can show up. So if you're thinking, you're stinking. And it's like, ask, okay, so what would it take to get out of my head here? What would it take for me not to think so much about the business, and what would it take for me just to choose? And everything it doesn't allow that to show up, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
And for all those amazing business people that are there that have actually been head trippers and the fixers, because I'm saying that because I've been one of those. I mean,
Right.
the biggest head tripper that you've seen on the planet, and misfix it. I had to fix everything, including the people. So I was creating all the drama, you know, about I'm the only one who knows everything. So I was then recruiting people who actually could only be that. You know, when I've heard your stories, Simone, it was like, shit, I've actually been doing exactly that in the beginning.
Right.
My
Yeah,
God.
well, one of the first tools that I got, Jennifer, is when I met Gary Douglas, and I actually flew to San Francisco to go to a business class he was doing, and I was $187,000 in debt at that time. And I
Woohoo.
remember talking to my father, and he said to me, you know what, I think you need to go. And he said, it's probably going to cost you another $10,000, but you need to find out if this is actually what you'd like to do with your life. So I did go, and one of the first tools I realized was I had the point of view that nobody could do my business as well as me, that I was the one that had to do it. So
Oh God.
what staff was I employing? I was employing staff that couldn't do it as well as me. So the first thing I did was I changed that point of view, because I was like, my gosh, I'm creating myself to have a lot of hard work. So I started asking for people to show up who were better than me. And like, not based on judgment, but they were better than me. They liked making phone calls. They, you know, they liked doing sales better. They liked, you know, organizing better, everything. They liked doing the book work, whatever it was. I asked for people to show up that were better than me so that they could actually contribute more, which allowed me to choose something different and allowed me to expand the business. So you've got to be willing to be out of control. So let's leave on this clearing statement, which I love, is what would happen if you were out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, significance, out of linearities, and out of concentricities with you and your business and your ideas. And
Wonderful.
everything that is times a Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yes,
Right,
please.
wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, let's do it one more time. So what would happen if you were out of control, out of definition, out of limitation, out of form, structure, significance, out of concentricities, and out of linearities with you, your business, and your ideas, and everything that is times a Godzillion, where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. You've got to stop being that control freak that you be, because you can actually control from a place of consciousness, not from being the control freak of having to hang on to things and have it be your way. There's a difference, and that's one of the things that we will definitely cover in the classes that I have coming up.
Right
So
now,
I'm really looking forward to the classes in Dubai, Jennifer. It's going to be lots of fun. Get out of the first class lounge and actually see Dubai.
yes, it's going to be awesome. So for everyone that really wants to see your business in a more joyful way, where you can create some more, because from a space of joy, as Simone says, it is from the space of joy that we create. Because if we are coming into having a contracted state of how our head is tripping all the time, we are not allowing ourselves to open up to different possibilities. And I am extremely honored and privileged that I am inviting and hosting Simone, who's going to be joining us in June, on the 19th of June. She's coming in for the Joy of Business. That's the foundation class. And then on the 20th and 21st, we're going to be having the Joy of Business, the advanced class. Would you like to say a little bit about that, Simone? What's going to be covered?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, basically it's great if people show up for the 3 days, because it is sort of like this 3 day, marathon, and it is lots of fun, okay? And it's like, it's not, I mean, I have people come to my classes and they're like, oh, now we're going to do a business projection and we're going to take notes, etc. It's not about that. It's going to be a totally different business class that you've attended. But the one thing I can pretty much guarantee you is if you use these tools, you will have more fun in business, and you will have more joy, and therefore more money will show up. I will show you completely different ways to look at your business, to start your business. It doesn't matter if you're working, with someone else, for someone else, whatever it is, because you know what? Your business is your life and your life is your business. And I look at it as, what if business was the adventure?
Wonderful. Awesome. So having said that, we are going to get ready to we are going to have you come in and change the world of business over here, coming from a more joyful space. And once again, Simone, I can't say how much it is that you have changed my life, because it's changing all the time. It's never stopping. Thank you so much for taking time for coming out of your busy schedule. And let's see what we can do together, and let's see how we can create a different possibility, because I'm ready to rock and roll, to play, and to be the change catalyst that I am, but having ease and joy and glory with it, and a whole lot of fun. So thank you so much for your time. And
you're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Seriously, I'm looking forward. And everyone out there, if you really want to change things in your world, in your life, in your business, and in your relationships, guess what? You cannot miss coming in for the Joy of Business with Simone, because she's going to rock your world like she did mine. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless.
All right.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.